Ever since man pulled that first crystal out of the ground, gemstones have been more than tokens of wealth or beauty. They've also been the stuff of dreams. Today we're talking about dreamstones of all varieties, from ancient visions to their appearance in modern works like the Sandman. We'll explore their lore, their history, and even their science. You'll see what I mean. The first notion of such a gem may have belonged to the ancient Hebrews, who called amethyst alama, which translates literally as dreamstone. They believed it would bring pleasant dreams to anyone who slept with it, kind of like a pointy purple teddy bear. While we haven't been able to find any scientific evidence that amethyst will do any such thing, it's had plenty of famous supporters over the years. Leonardo da Vinci claimed it could dissipate evil thoughts, while in ancient China it was used for feng shui. In China today, plans are underway for a luxury hotel in the shape of a giant amethyst geode. Imagine a hotel that could guarantee its patrons sweet dreams. But what about actual dreams of gemstones? One of the earliest works of dream interpretation was the Oneirocritica, dating back to the 2nd century AD. It was written by Artemidorus of Daldis, who spent much of his life traveling through Greece, Italy, and Asia, collecting accounts for what became a 5-volume catalog of all kinds of weird dreams. According to Artie, in men's dreams, gemstones often represented the eyes. A dream of a ring with a missing gem might prefigure the onset of blindness. Meanwhile, for female dreamers, he suggested gems often represented a husband or children. 6 centuries later, another dream book, this one written by Amethyst in Arabic, assigned meaning based on the color of the stones. He wrote that if a king dreams of a crown with red jewels like rubies, he will enjoy great fortune and become feared by his enemies. But if he dreams of a crown of blue stones, well, that's a bit of a problem. He's going to lose part of the kingdom. Needless to say, over the centuries, many cultures assigned certain properties to the gems found in their dreams. Then along came George Frederick Kunz, a prominent mineralogist responsible for the identification of the gem known as kunzite. In 1913, he published The Curious Lore of Precious Stones, drawing on his extensive collection of texts concerning gem superstitions. In it, he provided a list of prominent gems and what they were thought to signify when encountered in the world of sleep. Not surprisingly, for many, like beryls, opals, and turquoise, it's some form of fortune or prosperity. On the other hand, bloodstones were thought to be harbingers of distressing news, tourmalines entailed an accident, and porphyry, a dark purpley red rock containing crystals of feldspar, meant nothing less than death itself. Maybe that's why porphyry never became much of a popular gift item. There were more curious associations too, like amber signifying a voyage, zircon for bad weather, and garnets representing the solution to a mystery. Put all 3 together and you've got an Agatha Christie novel. Now remember, like Vegas, these are for entertainment purposes only. There is no known gemological basis for these associations. But, as Kunz noted in his preface, it can only be fruitful for a student of gemology to appreciate the various ways in which gems have aroused people's emotions. Into the 21st century, the notion of dreamstones has hardly diminished. You find them in movies, video games, cartoons, and in the case of the Sandman, in comic books. Created by writer Neil Gaiman with artists Sam Keith and Mike Dringenberg in the early 90s, The Sandman is an award-winning fantasy epic about a Lord of Dreams called Morpheus and his tenuous grasp on his world of living nightmares. The Sandman also features its own unique take on the dreamstone concept, one that combines previous lore and modern-day gemology. We're told that long ago, Morpheus created 12 dreamstones from part of his being. These included an emerald, a rose quartz, a black pearl, and a fire opal. Their purpose was to manifest and control dreams. The greatest of the 12 was a giant ruby, which became Morpheus's primary tool. This ruby recalls the fortuitous red stones Archimedes wrote of and is often rendered as reflecting a star-like gleam of light. This could represent the star effect known as asterism that can be found in some rubies and sapphires. Ordered inclusions of rutile create a phenomenon where crossed lines of light appear to hover over the surface of the stone. It's a very dreamlike effect. But the star-shaped gleam is more significant in how it matches Morpheus's eyes, which are described as stars floating in an empty space. Remember how Artemidorus linked gemstones with sight? Another dreamy aspect of this ruby, its luminescent glow, is a property it shares with the finest real-world specimens. When iron content is little or none, rubies are known to fluoresce or emit a visible light when excited by some form of energy. This effect is often powerful enough to occur even under ordinary sunlight. This emission typically occurs somewhere in the red portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, between 610 and 700 nanometers. But what does this color in particular have to do with dreams? Well, oddly enough, some recently published studies, including one conducted on Chinese female basketball players in 2012, have suggested that prolonged exposure to red light in this range can stimulate the production of melatonin in the body, resulting in better sleep. So could ruby rather than amethyst be the true dreamstone? I'd say more research is required, but what we know so far seems to support the notion that Morpheus's choice of ruby was much more fitting for a dream king than, say, a black pearl. Speaking of which, I've got this recurring dream where I'm back in my high school cafeteria, running late for class, and all I brought to eat are opals and pearls. What do you think that means? Let me know down in the comments, and while you're there, like, subscribe, and ring that bell. You don't want to miss any of the dreamy stones we've got coming up. Thanks for watching.